Good morning. We are here at day 2 of the Partsbase PBEXPO. Joining me, I have Rick from Spirit Aeronautics. Rick, how's it
Morning,
going?
brother. Good, Greg. How are you, dude?
Doing pretty good.
Awesome, man.
How's Miami treating you?
I love it here, man. I love Florida. Yes. Yeah, I was stationed here in the Navy back in the day. So got out of the Navy and then came back for a while. Lived in Boca.
Okay.
So yeah, I love Southeast Florida, man.
Cool. And where are you at now? Where are you
Columbus,
based out of?
Ohio.
Okay.
So yeah, raised in Columbus, Ohio, and then so I started my business there 22 years ago. Actually, this month is our 22-year anniversary.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you, man. Thanks. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Spirit and kind of your core business, what you focus in on.
Right on. Sure, man. So yeah, we really focus on modifying aircraft. We specialize in avionics upgrades. So meaning a lot of cockpit instrumentation, navigation systems, as well as a lot of cabin equipment now lately, cabin electronics, cabin connectivity, satellite communication systems, air-to-ground systems. That's a big part of what we do now lately.
Very cool.
Is keep aircraft connected.
Okay.
Keep the avionics fresh. I always use the 737 as kind of an analogy. The 737 is still built and produced today. It's still the same airframe that was built in 1969.
Right.
The big difference is the electronics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of analogous to what we do is we, refresh avionics in older airframes and make them as efficient as new, So
Very
both
cool.
for airspace navigation requirements and cabin entertainment connectivity systems.
Okay. And I know we had talked a little bit about an expansion that you have going on
Yes.
and moving into Texas.
Yes,
Tell us a
man.
little bit about that.
Yes. So with our company, we routinely send teams out to do projects on the road.
Okay.
So we'll do avionics upgrade in client's hangar, or we work with other maintenance shops to provide our services. And so we've been doing a lot of work in Texas, and we've had a lot of our industry friends that just kept telling me, Rick, you really need to come out here and open up a new facility in Texas. And so we did a lot of research, and we ended up at Meacham Airport in Fort Worth.
Okay.
And we're inside a brand new hangar facility there, and it's a busy, growing airport.
Yeah.
And we've been super fortunate to find some really high-quality technicians and managers to come on board with us. That was, of course, my biggest fear in this market environment, for labor, finding good quality people to come on board. But I got to say, we've been tremendously successful with the people that we found for our new Texas operation. So yeah, we've got some great high-level, well-experienced people there now.
Okay.
And we're still continuing to grow. So yeah, we're up to
You're
6.
hiring
Yes.
right now?
Yes, we just hired another quality assurance manager for Texas. So yeah, we're up to 6 people already since last July when we stood it up.
Very cool.
Yes.
And so, we were talking, I know I had talked to a few people here around flight data management, FDM, and FOQA.
Yes.
And so how does your company play into that?
That's an awesome question,
in
man.
what you're installing, the equipment, and maybe some of the benefits that customers are seeing from that?
Yeah. So, I kind of started looking into FOQA here a few years ago. Being an avionics type, it was very interesting to me. And the more I researched it, the more I found how powerful this data is. This is like metadata, data about data, right? And so analyzing aircraft performance data can just glean a tremendous amount of benefits operationally for the aircraft, for the maintenance, for the crew. And so I took an initiative here about 2 years ago, and I approached L3 Harris because they're one of the 2 leading FOQA services providers in the world. So I went to L3 and I said, hey, we'd really like to sell your FOQA services. We sell your flight data recorders and cockpit voice recorders. We're an authorized L3 dealer now, but we don't sell your service. And so they said, Rick, that's a fantastic idea. Why don't you just take over all of North America for selling our FOQA services to the business aviation community? And so that's what we've done. So we are now a dealer distributor for flight operations quality assurance services throughout North America. And the benefit with us is we can also do the hardware upgrade for your aircraft, because a lot of aircraft still need a hardware upgrade to get the data off the aircraft. There's a lot of flight parameter data. There's a lot of information that we need to pull off after each flight. So we as an avionics integrator, we can provide the services to install the new hardware, and at the same time turn on the FOQA services, get it all configured, set up, and away you go. So we are very unique in that. Even as the size of our company, we are really the only company in North America that can provide full vertically integrated FOQA solutions. From tip to tail, we can specify the exact hardware that's required, we can install the hardware, certify it, and then engage the FOQA services.
Very cool.
With one stop.
Okay, and so when you're looking at FOQA, what are some of like the key, there's a ton of data that can come off of the aircraft.
Yes.
What are some of the kind of key data sets that operators are looking at to maybe improve the way that they're operating their aircraft, maybe improve the safety of their operation? What are some of those key data points?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think a FOQA actually is a great way to tailor pilot training, because you can really see how the pilot's operating the aircraft out on the line, out in the real world environment. And so you can kind of actually see where the pilot has his strengths and weaknesses and how he's managing the machine. Because these are very sophisticated, very expensive machines. And so, pilots, by their nature, they want to be their best, right?
Right.
And so this is a way to help sharpen the steel, if you will. So it generates some tremendous reports, not only to assist with pilots in their training, but also it can help in maintaining the aircraft. We could see what speeds like flaps are deployed. We can see, different things about the operation of the aircraft in different airspace and different operational environments. And so, a lot of the benefits come from, the efficiencies of training, for one, the efficiencies in even flight operations. Using a lot of data, you can pick which flight plan is going to be best, and you can compare your airplane to other like model aircraft in the world. So if you've got a Challenger 350, you compare the performance of your 350 against every other 350 out there. And with those performance numbers, with your real data, real world performance numbers, you can see exactly how your airplane is going to perform on projected flight paths. So you can kind of tailor your flight planning to the performance of your machine to the real world conditions it's about to enter into.
Very cool.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
It's powerful.
It's wild to see where all of the technology is going and like combining the hardware with the software and really doing some amazing things with it.
Absolutely. And as well, it can even lead into better record keeping for the aircraft, because the data, block times, on, off, out, in, things like that. I mean, all that data is on the aircraft and a lot more. And so we can import that data into aircraft logs and records now and really help, streamline data entry processing with this data as well. So there's efficiency in the business management of the airframe as well.
Very cool.
Yes.
So sounds like you're really busy with Spirit. I know that you're also involved in some other things within the industry.
Yes.
So maybe we could talk a little bit about ASTM and some of the things that you're involved in there.
Sure. I've been chair of the ASTM Committee for just over 6 years now. So the ASTM Committee F46, we're developing professional credentialing for aerospace personnel.
Okay.
And so what that means is we've focused, we started with the Aircraft Electronics Technician, the AET certificate from NCAT. The ASTM program took over NCAT some years ago, and so we brought on the Aircraft Electronic Technician certificate as a credential, and we're building on that now. And building on that meaning we're moving into other skilled trades. So we've developed academic knowledge and skill standards for aircraft mechanics, for airframe, for power plant, for the general knowledge requirements, aircraft electronics technicians. We've even got credentials now for DERs. We've developed academic knowledge and skill standards for DERs, and the FAA is embracing that and using that in their training programs now.
Okay.
And so what this all means is we're developing a more robust career path for aircraft technicians.
Right.
Because the career ladder for mechanics is pretty abbreviated. You get your A&P license at the end of school, and then 3 years later you can get your inspection authorization, but then you're at the top of the game as an A&P. Versus, the analogy I always use is the pilot. Pilot starts out, even as a student, they're certified, they get a certificate, and then you
Right.
become a private instrument, multi-commercial on up. It's a very robust career path for pilots.
Right.
But yet on the mechanics side, it's very abbreviated. And then on the avionics technician side, they really had no credentials from the FAA.
Right.
And so what we're doing with ASTM Committee F46 is developing higher level credentials for aircraft technicians and additional credentials. We're working on cabin interiors. So like people that sew the beautiful leather seats in aircraft.
Cabinetry, all that type of
the
stuff.
cabinetry,
Yeah.
that's its own unique skill set,
Yeah.
right? To do these immaculate cabins on these aircraft, the woodworking is just top
Yeah,
notch.
next level.
But it's not an A&P skill. That's not taught in A&P school. That's not an A&P doing that work for the most part, generally.
Right.
It's a very specialized craftsman. And so what we're doing is we're helping to develop the academic knowledge and skill standards for those technicians. And so that enables schools to develop curriculum to teach programs for those apprentices.
Very cool.
Because there's no, real professional credentialing. There's no professional training
Right.
available in the industry. And so that's what we're doing. We're coming together as an industry and developing academic knowledge and skill standards for different skills that we need in the aerospace world that the FAA has not provided for us.
Right. And is there, as you're looking at this and looking at adding these different levels of credentials, is there going to be kind of a system that's needed for logging all of the kind of work that you're doing?
Yes, that's a great question. And so, the FAA really doesn't require mechanics to log their time.
Right.
The only requirement is that you had worked on an aircraft within the previous 6 months.
Right.
For regulation. And again, back to the career path, that's not a great way for someone that wants to add to their resume. They want to increase, the quality of their resume by adding additional credential, adding additional things. And so, we're actually looking now to develop a guild, if you will, with ASTM so we can determine the difference between an apprentice, a journeyman, and a master technician.
Right.
Because we don't even have that in the A&P world.
Right.
But we should. Every other really skilled industry has a very professional credentialing program with career path to go from apprentice to a journeyman to a master.
Right.
And so that's another thing that we're working on with F46 is to develop that kind of career path where you bring in experience, you bring in your academic knowledge, you bring in your training, and then you submit that to a committee and they evaluate that, and then based on the guidelines that we set for an apprentice, a journeyman, or master, then you would qualify into one of those roles. And then you could put on your resume, now you're a master certified technician.
Right.
Whereas today we don't have that, It's very subjective as to what makes a master technician for an A&P.
Right. Well, it's really cool. You're really helping in progressing people that are already in the in the space, giving them an opportunity to progress their career, get noticed, have these credentials.
Keep them retained.
Yeah,
we want to keep them. And so people want to see a career ladder in front of them.
Yep.
And if we can offer that, I think we've got a better opportunity to keep qualified people that we have today versus losing them to other industries with better professional career paths.
Sure. I know we talk a lot on, on our shows and the people that we're connected with. Obviously, we have a workforce problem in this industry. In really every aspect of it. For a long time it was really focused on the pilots, but we're now seeing it in technicians, across the board. FBOs, service centers, really everywhere is having issues in attracting talent. And so what types of things are you working on in regards to attracting maybe younger people and getting them involved in aviation?
Sure, man. Yes, another program I've been involved with for years is the Youth Aviation Adventure Program. We call it YAA. YAA started out probably almost 20 years ago as a small operation. Two gentlemen, a good friend of mine, my business partner, Steve Wathen, and a friend of his, developed this program for their sons. Early on, their sons were into scouting and they wanted to earn the aviation merit badge. And to earn the badge, it's a pretty complicated affair. There's like 9 different requirements that the scout has to meet to earn the badge. And so they developed a program where the kids can earn the badge in a one-day event out at the airport. And so there's 9 different elements, 9 different stations that we have that cover all 9 elements to meet the aviation merit badge for both the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts.
Okay.
And so that program has now grown to, we've been operating in over 25 different cities.
Oh, wow.
We now have this program kind of pre-packaged, pre-kitted, if you will, and we can send out an entire kit to an airport, and we get local volunteers like from an EAA chapter, and they'll provide the volunteers. We'll put out notice to the local scouting community as well as local church groups, youth groups, any other urban youth groups that want to bring kids out to the airport. And then we get them in front of airplanes, and we get them in front of aviation professionals. And not only do we talk about just a career path as a pilot, but we also talk about all the great career paths in aviation.
Yeah.
And so this is a really great outreach program to get kids interested in aviation. And, you know, you talk about STEM. To me, there's no better example of STEM than an aircraft.
Right.
You know, right?
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. And so to get kids in front of aircraft and talk about the technology around an aircraft, you know, involved in aviation, it truly is a STEM program. But as well, it's a great outreach program to show kids not only the technology of aviation, but the careers that they can get involved with. You know, there's so many different career paths. There's controllers, dispatchers, you know, mechanics, pilots, engineers. I mean, there's just a tremendous number of ways to get into this industry and have a great career. And so YAA does a really good job of showing kids that. So it's kind of geared for kids like 12 to 18 to come out. It's a one-day event. We hold it in different cities. We're always looking for new cities to stand up a new squadron. And so, I'd encourage anybody, if you're interested, to begin a new outreach program for kids to get them interested in aviation careers. We've got a pre-packaged kit that makes it very, very easy. You can stand up events both for a large group and a small group. So we hold our Squadron 1 event at OSU Airport in Columbus, Ohio twice a year. And we had to limit it to 250 kids. One year we had over 400 kids show up.
Oh, wow. That's a great turnout.
It's so popular. It's powerful, man. Like I said, you get it out to local scouting community, and kids just flock to the event.
Very cool.
And you almost kind of have to manage that because you could
get out of
overwhelmed.
Hand.
Yes. But it's great. I mean, and to come into the hangar at 8 a.m. and see it a room full of kids around airplanes that are wide-eyed, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed.
Yeah.
Want to learn about aviation. It's just so exhilarating, man. It's a great program.
Very cool.
So, I'd really encourage everybody to kind of look into youth.
And we'll post a link for that as well.
Right on, man. Yes. So Youth Aviation Adventure. It's just a great nonprofit. And so, we're always looking for industry support. Thanks for bringing it up, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. Thanks for stopping by. It was great seeing you.
Yes, you got it.
And we'll talk soon.
Okay, Greg. Thanks,
all right,
buddy.
thank you.